She didn't raise her voice. Didn't need to. The order was logged, encrypted, and relayed to field teams waiting in forests and small towns along the projected line. In a pine forest hundreds of miles away, a camouflaged operator lay prone in the snow, radio pressed to his chest, watching a valley road for movement. In a quiet town, a relay van hummed in an alley. Its tinted windows reflected neon from a bar across the street. The net was already in place, invisible, waiting. "Patience, then," Mal murmured again, softer, almost a whisper into the hum of servers. "He'll surface when he thinks he's safe." No one moved. The only sound was the relentless drone of cooling fans, as if the whole facility was holding its breath.
The Lattice calls, I hear it still, beyond the river, beyond the hill. They hunt the trail, they track the prey, but wolves don't run the hunter's way.
Predator's watch. Half a world away, in a control room without coordinates, another wall of screens glowed with the same red traces. The large man stood with his hands clasped behind his back. The stance of a man who had been trained never to fidget, never to reveal fatigue. His frame was tall, but not lean, thickened by winters in the Siberian steppe and campaigns fought on soil that never thawed. His face bore the years not as weakness, but as an engraving. Lines etched by wind and cold, by choices that could never be unmade. His uniform was black, severe, without medals or flourishes. Only a single silver emblem caught the light, a bird of prey clutching a fractured sphere. His thumb brushed against it once, the only movement in his stillness. In his youth, he had seen falcons circle above the Irtish Valley, patient until snow hares broke cover. He thought of them now, the slow spiral, the sudden swoop. Patience was never a weakness. It was a prelude to killing. Symbols carried weight long after men forgot why they were worn. But it was his eyes that unsettled everyone. Leaden, steady. They didn't look at men so much as through them, stripping away excuses until nothing but marrow remained. They were eyes of someone who had not only watched men die, but chosen the hour. The junior officer presenting the Deep Creek update fought to keep his voice level. He recited the activation logs, the A-Strat recovery, the shifting path across the American map. Sweat darkened his collar despite the room's chill. He kept his posture straight, and his knuckles whitened around the folder in his hands. When he finished, silence fell. Not the silence of deference, but the kind that stretched like wire ready to snap. The mountain of a man let it stretch until the officer's throat bobbed with a swallow he tried to disguise. Then he spoke, voice soft, which made it worse. "So, our Idaho branch has sight of the quarry, and yet they do not close." The officer hesitated. Then they recommended waiting, General, allowing the subject to... "I'm not interested in their recommendations." The words were quiet, almost conversational, but they froze the room. "I am interested in results." "Yes, General." He stepped closer to the wall of screens, his shadow merging with the slow rotation of the recovering hoverboard under a scanner. He studied it for a long while, hands still locked behind his back, as if his body were carved from iron. When he finally spoke, it was not to the officer, but to the room itself. "Retrieve the man. Retrieve the garments. Retrieve whatever else he carries. Do not lose him again. The material is rare, and those who control it control more than they know." The words landed not as a command, but as a verdict. "Yes, General." He dismissed them with the flick of his fingers, his gaze never leaving the shifting red lines. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, a smile bent in his mouth. It was not the smile of triumph, it was the smile of a predator who had scented blood in the snow. Ghosting. Cole Maddox didn't trust highways, open areas, or cities for a long time now, but after Rockland, they had become something more than risky. They were poison. He saw them as wide-open cages, funnels that herded men like cattle into the sights of whoever chose to watch. Roads meant predictability. Predictability meant death. He would not be cattle. He carried that conviction the way other men carried scars. A recent nightmare replayed whether he wanted it to or not. The old man had been wiry, stooped, clothes patched carefully at the elbows. He offered Cole a place at the fire without question, pressing a dented tin cup of boiled coffee into his hands. His voice had carried the steady rhythm of someone who had seen too many winters and survived them anyway. A rhythm that made Cole's body begin to relax. He had been halfway to sleep when the air betrayed him. A pressure had built without warning, crushing his ears until his head rang. Then the flash, not lightning, not gunfire, something other. The old man had risen with startled eyes just in time for the world to take him. Cole saw it. The man yanked into the air like a broken puppet, his hat spinning downward before his body came down hard. The wet crack. The soil drinking blood faster than it should. The boom that followed, light and sound, blotting the campfire from existence. And then silence, except for the hiss of ringing in Cole's skull. Nothing left of the old man but tatters and smoke. No trace of kindness. No proof he had ever existed. He jerked awake. Cole would carry that vision forward like shrapnel under the skin. He couldn't think about the woman and the girl he'd watched fall. Not yet. Maybe not ever. He didn't dare touch the trousers again. The pants had turned weighty again soon after making his escape. He had shoved them deep in a sack away from everything else, as if distance alone could contain their menace. Now every step north was taken on instinct. He vanished into timber corridors, crossed rivers where they pinched narrow, folded himself into blind zones. He ghosted the net the way he once ghosted patrols in enemy country. He knew they had to be watching. Somewhere, men stared at screens. Let them think they saw him. Let them draw their red lines across maps. The trick was never to be where they believed you would surface. Ghosting wasn't disappearance. It was teaching the hunter to trust the wrong shadows. The difference now was the enemy didn't wear uniforms. The enemy was everywhere. Towers, satellites, drones, watchers behind screens. He could almost feel their gaze crawling down the back of his neck. Fresh air should have meant freedom. Instead, it stank of smoke, memory, and death. Cole pulled his coat tighter, vanishing between the lines.